This season on WP Product Talk, we're diving into the journey of creating new software products and discussing the process one step at a time, from ideation to building a thriving business. But unless your WordPress plugin or theme is a hobby or a fun way to give back, it might be, but it probably isn't. So getting revenue is the number one priority on a product founder's journey. As a product owner, you need to be thinking about your business and pricing model early. Pricing wrong out of the gate can have long-term repercussions and even lead to a completely unsustainable business that fails completely. Are you debating pricing changes for a new or existing product? You're in the right place. Stay tuned to learn how to choose a business and pricing model for your WordPress product.
This is WP Product Talk, a place where every week we bring you insights, product marketing, business management and growth, customer experience, product development, and more. It's your go-to podcast for WordPress product owners by WordPress product owners. And now, enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Amber Hinds, CEO of Equalize Digital.
And I'm Zack Katz, CEO of GravityKit. And today we are talking about an important topic that affects everyone who's planning to build a WordPress product, how to price it. What are you going to charge?
This is the fourth episode in our new season of WP Product Talk. As I mentioned before, we're walking through the entire process, and maybe it's not the fourth episode. It might actually be a little further along there, but we are following the journey of going from beginning to being awesome and amazing at your business. And we are talking about models, business models, pricing, all of the really important things today.
Yeah, and that's why we've invited Ramesh Subramaniam from Retainful today. Ramesh, welcome. Please introduce yourself and what you do. And hello. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me in the show. I'm Ramesh Subramaniam, founder of Retainful, an email marketing platform for WooCommerce and Shopify. And we are 16,000 plus customers strong, and the 99%, and the entire product, the entire marketing is built on organically. And a bit about myself: I'm a journalist turned entrepreneur. I love spending much of my time building products, and when I have more time, and I actually spend with the family, my wife, and I'm blessed with 2 kids, both of them boys, and they are really awesome. So I'm here. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, we are
so happy to have you here. For everyone who is watching, we are also happy to have you here. So please use the chat on YouTube if you are able, and put any questions in, and we will definitely address them as we can.
So why is this topic the most important topic, Ramesh? What do we need to? Why is this important for product owners to get right?
Yeah, pricing is basically everything. Okay, so when you are building a product, right? When you are building a product, most of us, whether you offer one-time fee, an annual subscription, or a monthly plan, your pricing model basically affects your cash flow and your ability to invest back into the development and support. Basically, you need to have a stable recurring revenue in order to help you to plan your entire roadmap and also, invest back into the development and grow steadily. That means that we need to get the pricing right. It is quite complex. It's very hard to get it at the very beginning itself, but it determines your success, right? So even if you might have even the best plugin, you probably invested hundreds of hours in developing into it. We might have invested, hired a very good team and have the entire support team back end, even a better marketing team, right? But if you price your product poorly, and if your revenue model does not support your, ongoing development and support, then it's not going to help you a lot down the line, right? So there's a huge amount of effort, you put in for building the product and taking into the market and making it successful. But if you get the pricing wrong, then it might, affect in a very, very large way, right? So that is why pricing is much more important these days, right? So there is one more thing, everybody should actually, every product owner should actually understand, right? So a lot of people, a lot of product owners like us, make a mistake in pricing when it comes to, because it is very complex and it is not, we cannot get the right pricing at the, at the very instant and at the very beginning itself. It's more like trial and error method. We try something and then see if it is working. And if it is not working, we try another model. And then, it's like we try to get the right pricing, on a trial and error basis. But the most common mistakes a lot of people actually make is that we just look at the competition. Hey, they are pricing at okay, so they are selling at $69 per year. Let's put it at $29 per year, so that we get a lot of market. We get we can attract a lot of customers, and then because we are pricing it lower than the market, right? But unfortunately, that is one of the wrong approach, because let's say. For instance, let me give you an example. Let's say a business that is making 100K in monthly revenue, right? They would not hesitate to pay you even $100 a month, provided your product gives them a clear ROI for that, right? If you are able to deliver if you're able to deliver the right value to your target audience, then they would be willing to pay you the right amount of price, provided you get your pricing right. Okay, so that is why pricing is much more important these days. When whatever you do, whatever the pricing that you make it, if you are able to price it rightly, right, then your customers will appreciate you, and even they will support you. They would be willing to invest in you, because most of the time they are not buying the product itself, right? Just because of the price, they are not buying the product. They're investing in a product because they wanted to get value from it. That is why actually they are buying the product. That is why they are making the buying decision. So that is why pricing is more important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think you're right. If you don't get it right, obviously you won't last very long, if you even can really get started.
That's right.
I'm curious about this question, of mistakes people make. You mentioned referring to and just only looking at competitors. And maybe we can go into that a little bit more. But before we do that, I'm curious, are there other mistakes that we could just list out that people make when they're pricing, and maybe why? Like, are we afraid to go too high so we undervalue ourselves? I mean, I know I've certainly been there where I've been like, oh man, I don't know. Is this product that good? That kind of thing. Like, what do you think are like common pricing mistakes?
Amber, I would let me tell you a simple example. Okay, let's say you're making a product, you're building a product for the your target audience is actually in US. Okay, let's say you are pricing your product at $29 per year. Okay, imagine in US, if you wanted to have a proper lunch, it costs way more than $29.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in order to get the pricing right, you need to understand your target audience, your ICP, your ideal customer persona. That is the secret behind understanding, getting the pricing right. If your customers get the value, like I mentioned before, right? If you are able to deliver a clear ROI to them, then they would be willing to invest in it, no matter what kind of a pricing that you are making it. Okay, it doesn't matter if your competitor is selling at a very lower price or at a very higher price. You need to price your product according to the value that you did, not based on what your competition is doing, not based on what your the customer perceives in them, right? So based on that, you need to what kind of value that if you deliver is most important than what other competitors doing, what your market is doing, where you're selling it. No, it doesn't matter.
So let's talk about value-based pricing, because Ramesh, I have some questions
Yeah.
about this. How do you decide what your value is to customers? So one of our co-hosts, Katie Keith, she runs Barn2 plugins, which has, she
Yes.
integrates with WooCommerce as you do, Ramesh, with Retainful.
Right.
Like, if you integrate with a shopping cart, it's a pretty clear thing where you can say, install this, and you get to increase your sales. You get to make more sales to your customers. So buy this $100 a month
Yeah.
or a year plugin, and you make more money. That's not every single product. So when you're looking at products that don't directly contribute to the bottom line, when they add functionality that might be useful to an agency, and that agency can then improve their flow and their toolkit so that in the future the agency can make websites cheaper, but it's not a direct one-to-one. How do you talk about value-based pricing? Not just how do you talk about value-based pricing when you aren't exactly sure about the value?
Let Yes, let me give you the example. It's not about when I tell you about value, I'm not actually referring to just the revenue that actually is directly the product is contributing to the business. It The value can be of anything. It can be of how much time it saves you, for instance. Okay, so let us say you're spending a week of your time to building a page, right? In your product. For example, let's say an agency builds tons of websites, hundreds of websites, and every single day they build pages. And every single day when they wanted to build a page, they invest their time, their human resources into it, right? And if you are able to save at least 50%, let's say 30% of their time, right? So imagine, hiring a WordPress developer in US, it costs, more than $50,000 to $75,000 a year, right? Imagine if you're able to save 30% of their time, a person's time, right? Then it's a clear value. It's something that actually gives you direct value there, right? It's not a revenue. It's not in terms of money, but in terms of the time that you saved it and how productively you're actually working. So productivity can be one of the values. Similarly, there are a number of other values that are there that actually, for example, in terms of performance,
Mhm.
in terms of how optimized your website is. And there are a number of similar such values that a product can deliver. All you have to make your customer understand is that they understand the ROI clearly.
Yeah.
You pitch them what is the ROI they're getting. Go
Well,
ahead.
I was going to say, I think a lot of it really, it does go down to money, right? I was in a Facebook group earlier this week and I saw someone be like, does anyone know how I can promote or how I can import all this data in? I don't want to buy WPAL all import and I want to do like an SQL. And literally my comment was, you're going to spend so much time trying to figure out how to write an SQL query to import this in. Like time is money,
And
right?
it's going to
And
break, and you're going to end up buying it
Yes.
anyway, and then you're going to hate yourself for not having done
I
it
know, I'm
earlier.
like, just buy WPL import.
Yeah.
It's so worth it. But like, so I think there's the time argument, but again, it comes to money. The performance that can very easily, if you sell a product that optimizes website speed, well, there are tons of studies out there that say, optimized time on site means more or better load times means more people stay on site, which for an e-commerce results in more sales. For an ad driven site results in more ad revenue, right? I do think the value is a lot of times can be drawn back to revenue. Like our tool is a tool, our accessibility checker plugin is a tool that applies to agencies, and it doesn't always directly result in the same way that a WooCommerce add-on might in increased revenue, right? I mean, we do sometimes connect it to, well, obviously, if your website can be used by people with screen readers, then they can buy your products and you will make money in a way that you wouldn't, right? But we've also been able to connect it for agencies who are making money. they make money selling websites, and they can make more money selling websites if they can deliver a better website product, and our tool helps them deliver a better website product, or it could help with recurring revenue. So I think there's a lot of ways to have different things that come back to value that hits bottom line, even though on the surface you might not think it hits bottom line.
Okay, so here is actually one more thing that, another mistake that you were asking, Jack was asking, what are the other mistakes that people actually do? So most of the product developers don't even define their ICP much clearer. When I say ICP, ideal customer persona. So when you are making a product, not everyone is your customer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
As a product, this is what I'm trying. See, some of my ideas are actually quite the opposite of the popular belief. It's not okay. So I probably, because I'm coming from a journalist background, so that probably is the reason. Journalists are always contrarians, right? So, so one of the single most mistakes that people make when building the product is they're not identifying their customers. They think that everyone is a customer. Not everyone is a customer. For instance, in the case of an accessibility product, agencies are the most preferred ICP for targeting.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to a Retainful like ours, it's an email marketing tool. We are not a generic email marketing tool. We are actually specifically focuses on an e-commerce store, especially WooCommerce and Shopify store owners. And our customers are a store owner.
Mm-hmm.
A store owner, its email is basically a must-have tool, and every store should have it. But again, we have a even further subcategorized into our ICPs and divided into multiple categories. So who are all actually is directly, right? And these are all the people we need to target initially to get the initial traction. Once you get there, then your ICP actually changes. And then, once you get that stage, your ICP changes. So your ICP needs to be defined at every single stage. And then you need to pitch your value. You need to, give that clear value messaging based on that.
So how do you do?
And value actually sells you more.
So how do you with WordPress products and across my different product lines, I have a bunch of different price points, and so GravityKit. Let's take GravityKit as an example. GravityKit is it's a technical tool in the sense that you need to be like a site builder or somebody who is familiar with a WordPress site to take advantage of it. But that might not be the end user. But like in the WordPress space, there are so many different roles that do the research into plugins that refer, oh, I saw this as a solution, and then refer it to the agency that's actually building the site. And the agency, the person that might be forwarded to is the developer. And the developer says to the project lead, hey, I need this software. And the project lead reads the same website that everybody else has been reading. And the value to the developer might be different than the value to the end user, might be different than the value to the product. How do you do that in a way that makes sense to everybody who's going to be looking into this product? Because unlike maybe Retainful, it's not often it's not a single person who's making this decision and who's identifying the need for it.
You're correct, Jack. It's a very good question, and your observation is absolutely perfect. Defining ICP is one of the most difficult tasks. Actually, it is not just every single product that can fit into a particular box, and then we just go straight into it and then market that a specific audience. That's not. It's getting in defining ICP. The term ICP itself actually changes, and so in a product like that, actually. What you said, for example, what the requirements of a developer and the requirements of a store, the person who owns a site, or the person who actually runs an agency is completely different. And that is some of the products like you have mentioned that cannot have a clear ICP. But again, here also you can do that. Right? So here the messaging has to be perfected into multiple segments, right? So their target audience does not have to be, one single segment of customer, in one single box. It can be of multiple different segments. So each segment has to have a different messaging. I'll give you a simple example. Okay, in my niche, right? In terms of email marketing, uh, different industries actually require different types of marketing. Email marketing. You cannot have the same messaging delivered to a person in the apparel category in a hardware category. That's not possible. Similar, though email marketing as itself we can define our ICP in a bigger box, but again, that actually can be segmented into multiple ones, and then you can deliver the messaging accordingly. It can pitch the value accordingly. So that is how it is very relevant in determining pricing. One more example is before we come into that, we were talking about Apple, right? Apple is a biggest example in terms of pricing, with those you were talking about in a software model. Apple is actually very clear about their customers, who they wanted as a customer. Not everybody actually goes and buys an Apple. And once you buy an Apple and you never switch, why?
Because it's expensive.
Because you're a Mac and not a PC.
Why do you choose a Mac? Yeah, because I'm definitely a Mac, even though I'm kind of probably a PC.
Yeah.
I think these, like developing the use cases, understanding who your customer is really important. And I think the use case or the, who we serve kind of pages on a website can be very helpful for justifying pricing to your customers or allowing your customers to see themselves in your product and in your pricing. But I kind of want to transition us a little bit back, maybe a step, for some of the people who are watching who might not be as aware of even what different type of pricing models they could take. And I feel like it would be useful to talk about these high level and how you would choose different ones. So things like, for example, we used to see a lot more lifetime pricing in WordPress. It kind of went away from, but there are still some people who do that occasionally, maybe only on Black Friday or maybe all the time. And then we saw the folks from Basecamp recently come out with a pay once model, which is literally kind of like a lifetime pricing. And then there's yearly subscriptions, which is most common in WordPress. We have some monthly options, which you don't see a lot in WordPress, but it's very common in a SaaS. So I feel it could be useful for us to go in and talk about these different models and what they mean for a business's revenue stream and how you would choose which model to even use.
And how it best aligns with the value that you're providing to users. Like in some instances, for example, in email marketing, the more emails you send, the more money you're likely going to generate from that. And so you might want to charge per tier of emails being sent. But then in things like Help Scout, for example, and customer support models, you might want to have a per seat pricing structure depending on how many support users you have. And then WordPress space, we often do the yearly and not the usage-based or the metered billing or the tiered pricing models, because it's kind of easier technically to just say, here's the software, pay once per year, and if it's active for as many people as you want. But I feel like that's changing currently in the WordPress space as things get more connected to the usage of a product and less free and open source and more paid and open source.
Yeah, sure. So we can categorize these things into five or six pricing models. Let me go one by one. So one of the most popular model is the freemium model, which we use in most the WordPress. So you create a free product with less number of features, a limited number of features, and then you create a premium version of it with a lot of features, and then you sell it at a early or a monthly basis on a subscription model, recurring pricing model. So And also there is one more sub-classification towards that. You sell based on the number of number of sites that you wanted to use. You start with a single site, you start with the 3 sites, you start with the 25 sites model. It's all on a recurring basis. So this is an annual recurring basis, premium, free plus premium model. So this is the most common model that most of WordPress products adopt, and most successful one, tried and tested one as well. This works really well because the recurring model helps the businesses to sustain their revenue. They sort of a prediction in their how much revenue that they will get on an each year basis. So that they can plan to their investment, they can continue their development, they can invest in their support and other infrastructure that is actually required to help WordPress owners and the site owners to be successful and use the product very successfully, develop and maintain the product successfully themselves. Right? So this is one of the most important model. And there are people who are actually combine the recurring plus the lifetime model as well. So they actually sell a lifetime deal as well, and which is limited to per site or unlimited sites. That is one more model. Personally, I'm not a big fan of lifetime model. In the earlier episode, Kevin Gary was talking an interesting use case for a lifetime model. One of the an interesting use case I heard from some of my friends were using for lifetime model is that when they launched their product, they actually introduced the lifetime model to acquire customers, right? Initial customers, early adopters, early adopters. And then they use the lifetime model to gather the vital feedback about the product itself. Because initially when you launch your product, it is not everything, you don't know anything. Basically, everything is your assumption. It's a guesswork. It's not a product. That's what I call it. It's basically a guesswork that this is actually something that is we are going to deliver to customers and they will actually love about it. But in fact, when we launch product, it's most of the time the feedback that we get is, hey, this is not something that I wanted. This is something else I wanted. We might imagine that there is one feature will actually will be the biggest hit. Probably that is the worst feature that we would have included. And there is another small feature which we thought insignificant would become something much bigger because people would have loved it and used it. So this is like a kind of a vital feedback that they use lifetime customers limited period. They will actually not run it for a limited number of licenses. They will provide it, then they get it. So this is one of the important use case for using a lifetime. But if you are offering a lifetime model for all the time, right, every time, may not be really sustainable. Recurring model might be very sustainable. And when it comes to SaaS pricing, like you mentioned, we have tiered pricing and usage-based pricing. So there is a seat-based number of seats you have, and usage-based is basically how much usage you get. Based on, for example, in Retainful, everything is based on the contact size. Its contact size is basically usage. So the more you usage, the more you pay. So your pricing grows as your business grows. Those the pay as you grow. That's a simple way of model. Then there is another model which is becoming popular these days. It's a revenue share model. Yeah, it's not like a revenue share model. It's like you take a small percentage of. It doesn't work for every product, but it works for some sort of a product. Right? So, for example, in affiliate marketing. They take a percentage of your affiliate marketing into. They don't charge anything for you upfront. You don't have to pay anything. You can pay just 1% of your affiliates as a fee for using the software. Maybe plus a monthly fee. That is another model that is actually these days getting popular, and because since there is no upfront fee that the merchants don't have to pay. I mean, the customers don't have to pay. Most of the customers, especially those who are starting their businesses and they're launching their businesses, growing their businesses, they adopt this model, pay-as-you-grow model as well.
Which can often result in being very expensive if you get popular.
Yeah, it's true. So when you get popular, you move into the tire where you don't have to pay fee.
Right.
That is. So these are the models that you use. Premium with free plus recurring model, and you have a lifetime one, and you have usage-based, tier-based pricing model, and then you have a commission-based model. But most of the WordPress in area, I think the recurring model will be a premium with recurring model might be much better because it gives you a revenue support. It actually helps you to build a sustainable product business.
So when it comes to lifetime pricing, one of the things that we do at GravityKit is we have lifetime pricing priced as a multiple of the number of years that our annual plan costs, and we have calculated, for example, that our average, and I'm just going to make up some numbers, but let's say our average customer lasts 3.4 years. And looking at this, we determined that we should price the lifetime pricing plan at 4x our annual our annual plan, so that we, on average, make more money per customer than we would otherwise. One of the downsides with lifetime pricing, as I understand it, is that if you are looking to sell your business, a potential acquirer might look at your lifetime plans and say, well, this is lost future revenue, which I disagree with if they're not using your product anyway. Like if the average lifetime of a customer is shorter, then on average, that's not the case. But they also don't want to have a permanent support load. So one of the things that we've done at GravityKit years ago, and like other people have also done in the WordPress space recently, is to say lifetime plan with a 3-year support license built into this. You get software updates for life, which is zero marginal cost, and you have a fixed amount of support. What's wrong with that pricing model? Like how can you? Why is that not the best option?
Right. Zack, before even I went going to answer that, it's a very good question. When it comes to pricing, there is nothing wrong or right about the pricing models.
Yeah.
Like
that's
I
a good thing
initially
for our listeners to understand, is like there's no right answer. I was just trying to be controversial.
No. When it comes to pricing, there is no right answer. So it's all on a trial and error basis. It depends on the product that you're building. It depends on the kind of target audience you have. It depends on it depends on the geography that you live in, and it is depends on the kind of a technology, the kind of investment, the kind of work that you are actually. The recurring costs are the cost of development is actually involved, and there are so many factors into it. So there is no right or wrong. So like you mentioned, the downside of having a lifetime deal is when you try to exit your business as a product owner. As a product owner, at some point of time, it's not your lifestyle business where you travel with the product for a longer time. So once you are able to grow a particular point of time, when you try to exit, and then when the potential investor or the buyer will have a red flag into it, because you have a set of customers for which you're bound to provide free support or free updates, and lifetime of updates, and you need to continuously invest into it, and there is no further future revenue attached to that type of customers. So they will actually tend to ignore that, and then value the rest of your business that actually brings a future revenue. That is one important factor. That is, even though some investors don't mind it, most of the buyers would actually take this into account. Another downside to it is that, and the customers that it's more than building a product, right? Supporting it is actually has a recurring cost for us. We need to invest in a good support. We need to have people who actually talk to customers, solve their problems, take their feedback, and relay the feedback to your development team, continuously contribute to the product development. And then only then your product matures and your product actually continues to grow. And then you can, not just one product, and you can continuously invest on this, even if you just have only one product. You can continuously invest on that product and then grow your revenue and in a very sustainable way. So that actually costs a lot of money. If you need to hire, you need to invest in good support. It's not like so for instance, if there are tools, there are free tools, right? Even if you go for a basic plan for a ticketing system, you will end up paying at least, even if you have 3 support reps, you would end up paying even $200 a month. It's works about to $3,600 a year if you wanted to invest in a 3 support agent team with a good ticketing tool, just for ticketing itself.
I think there's a lot of math that has to be done around what you think your operating costs are going to be when you're deciding on your pricing. So, you had mentioned early on, Ramesh, that it doesn't make sense to only look at what your competitors are doing and being like, okay, I'll just charge $10 less than them, right? Because if your operating costs don't match their operating costs, it doesn't matter. Like you may not do that. So I think there's a lot that goes into this. What other revenue do you have coming in while you're waiting for this new product, whether you have other products that are already bringing in revenue, whether you are an agency doing service work or a freelancer, or you have a full-time job somewhere and your product is your side hustle that you're working on growing. I think you have to figure out what is the timeline at which you want to be break even on this product, knowing how much you're going to put into it, how much you expect it to maintain, and then and what are all those costs. And then from there, there's kind of a point where you can sort of figure out what will the market bear from a pricing standpoint, because obviously you don't really want to be an outlier either direction. Being too cheap sometimes makes people think, well, this product can't possibly meet my needs. Being too expensive, then people are like, there's other alternatives or maybe better ones because they're more mature, so they have more features that cost less money. So why would I buy this, right?
And being too creative is also a huge problem. When you come up with your own pricing structure that nobody else is doing, that's a huge turnoff.
I'll say so with Accessibility Checker, we have pricing that we have heard from some people. It's expensive for a WordPress product in that we don't have an unlimited site license. So you can buy up to 25 sites off our website, which is we have yearly and monthly for that. If you do yearly, it's $1,800, which $1,800 for 25 sites is pretty expensive for a WordPress plugin, but not very expensive if you compare it to some of our SaaS competitors at all, right? And then if you want more than 25 sites, you contact us and we give you pricing, but it is never unlimited sites. And that's unusual for WordPress. And we have gotten complaints about that, but it's, you have to balance that out because we haven't gotten enough complaints that for us, we're like, yeah, but we also need to have a sustainable business model.
There will always be, sorry to interrupt, and there will always be people who will actually complain about it. It's like I said, you never get the pricing right till your lifetime. Mark my words. It's not that whatever the price. Even if you put it $10 per year, people will still complain. There will be people who actually still complain about $10 is actually expensive. It's a part and part of the business. But when you pricing a product, like I mentioned, if it is delivering the value and then people are finding the value, then they will be willing to pay for it. There is no second question about that.
And people. You can keep on raising the prices. So this is the way that we did it, and this is, I think, the natural way of the world is you start lower than you should be, and then you keep on increasing your price until you meet resistance and your sales go down, and then you say, oh, okay, that seems to be like the price where the sweet spot where people are okay paying up to here. Now it might be that your messaging isn't right and you could be charging a lot more, but it could be that this is the sweet spot for your product, and stop raising prices. It's going to be a lot harder to lower your prices, and people will complain a lot more if they're renewing at a higher price than your current price is than it is to keep on raising prices, and year over year people think they get a good deal if they're locking in their subscription at a lower price.
This is a thing
When
that
you
we
talk
first released
when you talk
accessibility.
about the
Oh, hold on one sec. I think this, people get anchored to pricing, right? And so one of the things that we did with Accessibility Checker was I knew we were going to release what was an MVP. It was not going to have a lot of features. It was not going to have what I thought it needed. I mean, I don't know if we ever have what we think it needs because our ideas about that change. But I was like, I don't want people to get anchored to this really low price. So when we first launched the product, we had what I thought the price should be, and we had a 50% discount for those people, but it was not it renews at the full price. It was you buy
Yeah.
now, you will have this lifetime 50% discount because that's your early adopter. Thank you.
Mhm.
And here's some feedback about where it's going. But I didn't want people to get anchored to this 50% price that I thought was all it was valued at the time of launch. Because then when we go to like increase the pricing to what I think it's valued at now, right? Like then that's a huge jump. So we did that so people could see and get in their heads at some point in time, it's going to cost this amount of money. And then in fact, when we got ready to get rid of the 50%, this is your price that you pay subscription, we literally emailed the list and we're like, next week, the prices are going to go up and we're getting rid of our
oh,
early adopter discount. If you want that early adopter discount forever, you should go buy now, right? And that was helpful. But I think, that there are ways to approach pricing a new product where you can do that without having to like start really low and have people anchor to this low idea. Like they can anchor and be like, oh, I'm getting a really good deal now. But I want to, and I think it's kind of relevant. We had a question that came into the chat from Harshit, which is how about renewal pricing, same, double, or what? Because this is something we see from people, which is, I think, Zach, where you thought I was going when I said it was 50% off, where they sell the initial purchase for 50% off and then it renews at full price, which is double what they bought. So I'm curious, maybe Ramesh, you have thoughts on it first, and then Zach could follow up. What are your thoughts on this approach to the discount on your first
okay.
purchase?
So when you do a discount on the first purchase and the renewal price is actually double of what it is, people will actually do a lot of crazy stuff, creative ways of getting, that discount. So what they would do is that they would just cancel the subscription and then they will actually buy it again if you have a discount. That is also a reason why, during Black Friday and the Cyber Monday, you get a crazy, amount of, deals and discount pricing, which happens. And when people actually cancel their subscription and then, then come back and then buy it. So that's another side to this approach. And usually what most people do is that, when you provide a discount and the initial purchase, and like you mentioned, for early adopters, you lock the price forever. Which is another not just creative approach, but it is another best strategy that you can get people to buy your product. That's actually is one thing that you can do. Otherwise, there is another creative approach to it. So when people renew automatically, I think, it was Yoast that was actually doing this. If you renew on time, you get 10 or 20% discount automatically, renewal discount that gets applied. So you buy and you keep the discount. And if you renew every year on year, you get another 10% or 20% discount on top of the renewal. So on renewal, because people, the renewal rate in WordPress space is actually is quite tricky, because we renew at a year, and after a year, it's not monthly, right? And you renew at a year, a lot of people forget about it, and a lot of time there is a card issues. A lot of time the payment related issues crop up. So your renewal rate is actually depends on how the customer is actually engaged with the product. They remember about it. They remember the subscription. They actually keep their card active, and there are a number of factors to it. So if you are able to give them a renewal discount, 10 or 20% discount on their renewal, it will actually help increase the number of renewals, keep the churn very low, and have your subscription for a longer time. I mean, there's a concept called lifetime value, LTV. So the customer lifetime value is continuously goes up.
That's the idea.
In business.
But one of the things that I found is it's so hard, not just with annual plans, but even with a monthly plan, uh, doing the numbers and finding out, okay, what works better, what converts better in the first place, and let's say I make a sale and I start off with a fixed 50% off discount for the first year, and it renews at full price the next year. Is that customer the customer I want? Is the lifetime of that customer longer than the customer who buys at full price at a higher price? There are so many different variables that I find it infuriating and also a little exciting, but like to not have any idea the perfect mixture. And this is maybe my takeaway from all of our conversation today, is that it really depends on your business. It depends on your target, your ICP, your ideal customer profile. And it also, there's no right answer. So
Yes,
yeah.
there is one thing that I found which works great is that you can be very transparent about your pricing. The simpler and transparent you keep your pricing for any product, whether it is a SaaS or a WordPress product or any product for that matter, the right kind of customer usually appreciates it. And that customer you're going to be your loyal customer, and that customer your business actually needs it, because that customer will be like we call like angel customers. So this customer is actually adds a lot of value to your business itself, because they understand why they're paying for that your product in the first place itself, right? So we actually learned this in the hard way in Retainful. When we initially started, we started as a plugin, just providing the abandoned cart query and all. And then we understood, okay, hey, the product needs a different direction. It has to grow into an email marketing solution, and the plugin way is not going to be helpful. So we actually transitioned from a plugin to a SaaS product. So when we transitioned to a SaaS product, we thought, let's try different models, different pricing models. So we had a free plan and 3 paid plans, and each of the paid plan had different trial period. So you can try the features, and the free plan is actually with limited features, and each plan had feature gating. Okay. So this actually led to huge confusions, not just huge confusions. Most of the support requests, we need to go and then explain the pricing for the customer. Imagine, you need to explain the pricing to your customers. When you explain the pricing to the moment you are trying to explain the pricing to your customers, it means that you're doing it wrong. That's a simple answer to it.
Right.
You need to fix your pricing table or something, right? If they can't understand what it means and why.
If they're not able to understand it, you need to fix it. So what we did is that we took a different approach. We simplified everything. You get all the features in all the plans. No limitations. Just only one limitation. Number of emails you can send it. In our free plan, you explore all the features, not just one feature. All the features, you can try all the features, you can use the features. You can have unlimited automation, unlimited campaigns, unlimited sign-up forms, almost everything, unlimited contacts and everything, right? You can do that. So, and one limitation we had, it's one single limitation, is the number of emails that you can send per month. That's the only limitation you have it in the free plan. Then you upgrade to the paid plan, you get all the features and unlimited emails, the number of emails is limited to the based on your contact size. 10x of your contact size is the number of emails you can send it per month. And that is only the limitation. That is the one thing that the customer have to understand, that we made it clear in the pricing table itself. Once we made that, then all the questions start. No questions.
Yeah. I agree. It is super important to have a pricing table that makes sense for people. I think, a lot of times in WordPress, it seems challenging to figure out ways to what those feature lines are. It's easy to say, okay, well, if I'm going to make this feature a separate add-on plugin, then I can only make that add-on plugin available to people at certain pricing tiers. But of course, that adds development overhead because now you're maintaining multiple plugins. And sometimes when you want to release an update, you actually have to update two in order to just add something to one of them. And of course, like it can be hard to think about, well, how can I do seat-based pricing when in WordPress anyone can add as many users? So there's a lot more complexities there. But I do think from a business longevity standpoint, having, putting a lot of thought into what's going to provide the most sustainable pricing for your organization and your company is really important. And we are about at time. So I'm sort of wondering if we want to close out and transition over to best advice. And this is, Ramesh, our sort of like elevator pitch. If you had to give a new product owner, 3 sentences about what your best advice is for setting pricing for their product. That's what this is. And I don't know which one of you wants to go first.
I'll
Zach.
go
All right,
first.
Zach.
Yeah.
Zach, what's your best advice
My
for
best
new
advice
product
is
owners?
don't ask people if they think the price is fair. It never works. If you have a new product and you say, hey, I'm thinking of charging this, would you pay that? Oh yeah, I'd pay that. They never actually buy your thing. Don't don't ask people, just try it out. That's my best advice.
What's yours, Ramesh?
So it's simplicity. The more simpler, easier for your pricing to understand for the customer, it's the best one that you can go for. So keep it simple and keep it like a premium model where you have a free version, you have a paid version, and have it clearly mentioned what you are offering. So what the value that you're actually getting from each of your plan, if you have multiple plans, clearly mention it. Simple, transparent clarity. This actually wins when it comes to price. Whatever model you offer, whatever pricing model, subscription model, any model that you think of, anything that is simpler, anything that is transparent, anything that has a clarity wins all the time.
So my advice is something you don't see very often in WordPress products, but I think that you should offer monthly pricing. We have had a ton of luck with this on our higher tiers, not our very lowest. We got rid of monthly on that because it had $15 a month resulted in huge amounts of churn. But our larger tiers have monthly pricing, and we have a lot of people upgrade because of that. And it gives us consistent monthly revenue, which is really nice and super helpful. So I would advise people to consider adding monthly if you don't have monthly.
And with the monthly plan, the issue is that you have to turn off the functionality if they stop paying. Is that correct, Amber?
Yeah, I mean, you need to have some way to enforce it. Otherwise, they'll just buy your plugin for the monthly cost and then stop paying you. We do restrict functionality in our plugin if the license isn't being paid. And there are lots of WordPress plugins that are doing that now. And I would say, honestly, moving towards operating more like a SaaS is going to better position your plugin from a longevity standpoint for keeping people renewing, but also in the long term, also if you do want to sell or bring on investors and sell part of your ownership stake in that plugin, you probably do want to think about having some features that get turned off.
Yeah. So
people probably hate me right now, and I don't even want to know what some WordPress leadership figures have to say about that, but literal truth.
That's the truth. Actually, you have to sustainable, right? So you need to keep the product, shipped every single month. You need to keep sustainable. You need to have a sustainable business. If you are super happy, then your product will be very, have a very good quality, and the users will also be very happy about it. So it's a win-win. In SaaS, monthly pricing works really well. And product also, like you said, can go for a monthly or yearly. Yeah, it depends on the choices, but I support your argument.
Well, that's a wrap. Ramesh, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you online?
So I'm very active in LinkedIn, so you can find me Ramesh Subramaniam, and just search for Ramesh Subramaniam from Retainful, or search for Retainful and find me. So you can find it in either way. So I'm very active in LinkedIn. You can find me there. I'm not much of a Twitter user or X user.
That's okay. You can still call it Twitter. You're in good company.
Good company. Great.
So
thanks,
next week,
thank you.
Yeah, we are so glad to have had you here, Ramesh. Thank you. Next week, for all of our viewers, you can tune in. I will be back with our co-host, Katie Keith, and Mark Westbrod will be joining us, and we'll be talking about how to create a go-to-market strategy that drives sales from day one.
And special thanks to Post Status for being our green room where we coordinate these shows. If you're enjoying WP Product Talk, do us a favor, hit like, subscribe, share it with your friends, reference your show in your newsletters, reference this show in your newsletters, and don't forget to tune in next week. Bye.